Dear students, welcome to this next session and we will be talking of monostable and astable multivibrator. So the resources used are Ramakant Gaikwad, op-amps and linear integrated circuits, Sergio Franco, design with operational amplifiers and analog integrated circuits. Firstly, we will talk of 555 timer as a monostable multivibrator. So, a monostable multivibrator, often called a one-shot multivibrator, it is a pulse generating circuit in which the duration of the pulse is determined by the RC network connected externally to the 555 timer. In a stable or standby state, the output of the circuit is approximately 0 or low logic level. When an external trigger pulse is applied, the output is forced to go to VCC, that is high state. The time the output remains high is determined by an external RC network connected to the timer. At the end of the timing interval, the output automatically reverts back to its logic stable state and the output stays low until again the trigger pulse is applied. Then the cycle repeats. The monostable circuit has only one stable state, that is output low, hence the name monostable. Normally the output of monostable multivibrator is low. So this is 555 configured for monostable operation. So you can see here there are three 5 kilo ohm resistances, two comparators. This is within the 555, a flip-flop, a transistor and output stage. Externally we have applied this resistance and capacitance. This is the decoupling capacitor. So input is applied to trigger, output is taken from pin number 3 and normally it's off. Now this is used when we talk of normally on load and this is used when we talk of normally off load. For normally on load, output is taken from output to VCC and for normally off load it is from output to ground, that is the case, output to ground. There you can see. So these are the external connections of the 555 timer. Before proceeding with the operation of 555 timer as a monostable multivibrator, we will examine the pin functions. So pin number 1 is ground. All the voltages are mirrored with respect to this terminal. Pin number 2 is trigger. So the timer output depends on the amplitude of external trigger pulse applied to this pin. The output is low if the voltage at this pin is greater than 2/3 VCC. However, when the negative going pulse of amplitude larger than 1/3 VCC is applied to this pin, the comparator to output goes low, which in turn switches the output of the timer high. So the output remains high as long as the trigger terminal is held at a low voltage. Pin 3 is output and there are two ways to load can be connected to the output terminals, either between pin 3 and ground pin, that is pin number 1, or pin 3 versus supply voltage, that is pin number 8. So when the output is low, the load current flows through the load connected between pin 3 and plus VCC into the output terminal and is called the sink current. However, current through the grounded load is 0 when the output is low. For this reason, the load connected between pin 3 and VCC is called normally on load, and that connected between pin 3 and ground is called the normally off load. So when the output is high, the current through the load connected between pin 3 and plus VCC is 0. However, the output terminal supplies current to the normally off load. This current is called the source current. The maximum value of sink or source current is 200 milliampere. This is as given in the data sheet. So pin 4 is the reset pin. 555 timer can be reset by applying a negative pulse to this pin. When the reset function is not used, the reset function is connected to plus VCC to avoid any possibility of false triggering. Pin number 5, it's the control voltage. So an external voltage applied to this terminal changes the threshold as well as the trigger voltage. So by imposing a voltage on this pin or by connecting a potentiometer between this pin and the ground, the pulse width of the output waveform can be varied. When not in use, the control pin should be bypassed to ground with 0.01 microfarad capacitor to prevent any noise problems. Pin number 6 is threshold. This is the non-inverting input terminal of the comparator 1, which monitors the voltage across the external capacitor. When the voltage at this pin, that is the threshold pin, is greater than or equal to 2/3 VCC, the output of the comparator 1 goes high, which in turn switches the output of the timer low. Now we have these 3 5K resistances, and that is the reason which gives me voltage here as 1/3 VCC and here as 2/3 VCC, just by considering that this is a voltage divider. So at first from VCC, first resistance from VCC, it will be 2/3 VCC, and at the second it will be 1/3 VCC. So these figures comes because we are using 3 5K resistances in 555 timer. So the pin number 7 is discharge pin. This pin is connected internally to the collector of transistor Q1. You can see here. So when the input is high, Q1 is off and acts as an open circuit to the external capacitor connected across it. On the other hand, when output is low, Q1 is saturated and acts as a short circuit, thus shorting the external capacitor C to ground. So pin number 8 is plus VCC, this one, and it is a supply voltage, and it can go from plus 5 volt to plus 18 volt with respect to ground. So initially, when the output is low, that the circuit is in stable state, the transistor Q1 is on and capacitor is shorted to ground. However, upon application of negative trigger to pin number 2, the transistor Q1 is turned off through this flip-flop, which releases the short circuit across the external capacitor C and drives the output high. The capacitor now starts charging up towards VCC through this resistance RA. However, when the voltage across capacitor becomes 2/3 of VCC, the comparator 1's output this switches from low to high, which in turn drives the output to its low state via this flip-flop. At the same time, the output of flip-flop turns capacitor Q1 on and hence C rapidly discharges through the transistor. So the output of a monostable remains low until a trigger pulse is again applied, and when it's applied, then the cycle repeats. So figure shows the trigger input output waveform and the capacitor voltage waveform. So as shown, the pulse width of the trigger input must be smaller than the expected pulse width of the output waveform. This. Also, the trigger pulse must be negative going input signal with an amplitude larger than 1/3 VCC. So the time during which the output remains high is given by Tp is equal to 1.1 Ra into C, where Ra is the resistance in the above circuit and C is in farad. So the time duration comes in seconds. So this is how the capacitor charging and discharging, and these are the output waveform. So during the capacitor charging Tp, this is the duration of output waveform. So this is the figure which shows the graph for various combinations of Ra and C necessary to produce desired time delays. So in this graph we can see that for a time delay of 10 milliseconds we can use this much R and this much C, or this much R, this much C, this much R, this much C, or this you can see here. So this gives only the approximate value of Ra and C for a given time delay. Once triggered, the circuit's output will remain in high state for a set time period Tp. Output will not change its state even if an input trigger is applied again during this interval Tp. However, circuit can be reset during the timing cycle by applying a negative pulse to the reset terminal. So the output will then remain in low state until the next trigger is applied. Often in practice, a decoupling capacitor of 10 microfarad is used between plus VCC and ground pin to eliminate unwanted voltage spikes in the output waveform, and sometimes to prevent any possibility of mistriggering the monostable multivibrator on the positive pulse edge. A wave shaping circuit consisting of R and C2 and a diode is connected between the trigger input pin 2 and VCC. This is how this circuit is attained. So the value of R and C2 should be selected so that the time constant RC2 is smaller than the output pulse width TP. So this is just to prevent the positive pulse edge triggering. Next is the application of monostable multivibrator as a frequency divider. So it can be used by adjusting the length of timing cycle TP with respect to the time period T of input trigger signal applied to the pin 2. So to use monostable multivibrator as a divide by 2 circuit, the timing TP must be slightly larger than the time period T. So you can see here in this figure. So by the same concept, to use monostable multivibrator as a divide by 3 circuit, TP must be slightly larger than twice the period of input trigger pulse and so on. So the frequency divider application is possible because the monostable multivibrator cannot be triggered during the timing cycle. The next application of a monostable multivibrator is a pulse stretcher. So this application makes use of the fact that the output pulse width of the monostable multivibrator is of longer duration than the negative width of input trigger. As such, the output pulse width of monostable multivibrator can be viewed as a stretched version of a narrow input pulse. Hence the name pulse stretcher. Often, narrow pulse width signals are not suitable for driving an LED display, mainly because of their very narrow pulse width. In other words, LED may be flashing but is not visible to eye because its on time is infinitely small as compared to its off time. The 555 pulse stretcher can be used to the remedy of this problem. So figure shows a basic monostable used as a pulse stretcher with an LED indicator at the output. The LED will be on during the time interval as already discussed. TP is equal to 1.1 RAC, which can be varied by changing the value of RA and or C. Now we will talk of 555 timer as an astable multivibrator. So an astable multivibrator, often called a free running multivibrator, or it is a rectangular wave generating circuit. Unlike the monostable vibrator, this circuit does not require any external trigger to change the state of output, hence the name free running. However, the time during which the output is either high or low is determined by two resistors RA, RB and a capacitor C, which are externally connected to the 555 timer. So figure shows 555 timer connected as astable multivibrator. Initially, when the output is high, the capacitor C starts charging towards plus VCC through RA and RB. However, as soon as the voltage across capacitor equals 2 by 3 VCC, the comparator 1 triggers the flip-flop and output switches to low. Now capacitor C starts discharging through RB and the transistor Q1. When the voltage across C equals 1 by 3 VCC, the comparator 2's output triggers the flip-flop and output goes high. Then this cycle repeats. So the output waveform and the capacitor voltage waveforms are shown in figure. So this is the charging and discharging of the capacitor. So for Tc duration the capacitor is charging and for Td the capacitor is discharging. So capacitor is periodically charged and discharged between 1 by 3 and 2 by 3 of VCC. So the time during which the capacitor charges from 1 by 3 VCC to 2 by 3 is equal to the time the output is high, and this is given by Tc is equal to 0.69 into Ra plus Rb into C, where Ra, Rb are in ohm and C is in farad. Similarly, the time during which the capacitor discharges from 2 by 3 VCC to 1 by 3 VCC is equal to the time the output is low and is given by Td is equal to 0.69 Rb into C, because it is discharging now through Rb only, where Rb is in ohm and C is in farad. The total time period of the output waveform will be Tc plus Td, which is 0.69 into Ra plus 2Rb into C. Now this gives me the frequency of oscillation f0 as 1 by T, which is 1.45 over Ra plus 2Rb into C. So the equation indicates that the frequency is dependent upon supply voltage, and the frequency of the free running oscillator can be found by using this figure. So often the term duty cycle is used in conjunction with astable multivibrator. So the duty cycle is the ratio of the time Tc during which the output is high to the total time period. So the duty cycle is expressed as Tc by T into 100, which is Ra plus Rb over Ra plus 2Rb into 100. So the duty cycle of square wave is 50%. So that this means, according to the above equation, the astable multivibrator will produce square wave output unless the resistance Ra is 0 ohm. So if we make Ra to 0, there is a danger of short circuiting Ra. So the terminal 7 will be connected directly to plus VCC. So when the capacitor discharges through Q1 and Rb, an extra current is supplied to Q1 by VCC through a short circuit between terminal 7 and plus VCC, which may damage Q1 and hence the timer. So fortunately an alternative is available, which is explained in the next slide. So now we will talk of astable multivibrator applications. So first one is square wave oscillator. So without reducing Ra to 0 ohm, the astable multivibrator can be used to produce a square wave simply by connecting a diode D across the resistor Rb. So the capacitor charges through Ra and diode to approximately 2 by 3 VCC and discharges through Rb and terminal 7 until the capacitor voltage approximately reaches 1 by 3 VCC. and then the cycle repeats. So to obtain a square wave output of 50% duty cycle, Ra must be the combination of fixed resistor and the potentiometer, so that the potentiometer can be adjusted for exact square wave. So the second application of astable multivibrator is free running ramp generator. So when the resistor Ra and Rb are replaced by current mirror. So the figure shows the free running ramp generator circuit. So the current mirror starts charging C towards VCC at a constant rate. So when the voltage across C equals 2 by 3 VCC, comparator 1 turns transistor Q1 on and the C rapidly discharges through this transistor Q1. However, when the discharge voltage across C is approximately equal to 1 by 3 VCC, the comparator 2 switches transistor Q1 off and then the capacitor C starts charging up again. This charge discharge cycle keeps repeating. Now the discharging time of capacitor is relatively negligible compared to its charging time. Hence, for all practical purposes, the time period of the ramp wave is equal to the charging time and is approximately equal to T is equal to VCC into C by 3IC, where IC is the constant current in amperes, which is equal to VCC minus VBE by R, where VBE is the base to emitter voltage of the transistor. Therefore, the free running of ramp generator frequency is F0 is equal to 3IC over VCC into C. So these are the output and input waveforms of this free running ramp generator. This is all about monostable and astable circuit operation, and in the next class we will be talking of the voltage regulators